After the deadliest day in Myanmar since the coup, protesters have returned to the streets. Tear gas was fired to break up crowds in Yangon, where protests continued in defiance of the military. At least 18 demonstrators were killed on Sunday after soldiers and police fired live ammunition into crowds in 6 cities across the country. For more on this, we're joined by Burmese human rights activist Kin Omar. Thanks so much for joining us. Kin, a month since the coup, still daily protests, and now the violent crackdown. What's your response to what's happening in Myanmar right now?
It's very devastating, very worrying, because what I see is this military junta already sieged the country, and also the way how they are responding to the peaceful protesters and people in general, the public in general, is like, like they are kind of like taking a revenge, against the people. And the way that they are responding with these live ammunitions, and also how they respond, how they raid even during the night time. Not only that, they are actually like shooting into the crowds in the daytime and chasing down on the people with this this very aggressive nature. So it's not only that they are actually committing these crimes against the people, like with this violent acts, but also looting from the people, even like the food and the money. So what we're seeing is that this military, it's actually is acting in the very thuggish gang manner, where now I see the Myanmar people are calling them and are denouncing them as a terrorist organization against the civilians.
And how do you see events developing over the coming days and weeks?
The way how they committed the violence, especially in the last 2 days, gone to the point. I think like the people are at this with what I'm hearing from the ground is that especially the youth, the young people, they are actually like their commitment seems to be even much stronger now for their struggle. Their struggle is to restore democracy. Their struggle is to protect their human rights. Their struggle is to protect their human dignity, and also for the restoration of rule of law and democracy. The people will continue to strive for no matter what. But I think what we are needing so much now is if we all want to prevent further bloodshed and further violence, I think this is the time the international community really must take a step to come with the action. I think that if the UN and other relevant international bodies, including the ASEAN, if they wait further, what we're going to see is there will be more bloodshed on the ground, because people, like if you notice our country's history, along the timeline of modern Burma or Myanmar, people never give up. People continue to strive to end this military regime.
Kin, you just mentioned international support. The U.S. has said it's preparing additional sanctions. Will this make any difference to the generals?
What we need is multi-pronged approach, very concerted actions. So it is really great. The U.S. has taken up very concrete steps in the last couple of weeks, with this latest one announcing that they will take further actions against those perpetrators who inflicted those crimes. But we need other countries also to follow, namely the UK, the EU, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Norway, Japan, Korea. We need these countries who have been engaging with this country, investing so much in Myanmar democracy, now need to step up with such concrete actions that U.S. has taken.
And can you tell us a bit about your story? How do the protests now compare to other movements you've witnessed over the years?
I was one of the organizers of the 1988 pro-democracy movement. I say one of the organizers because there were many organizers that we had, and I was just one of those many across the country. The difference that I observed our time and this time, as you hear and see the Generation Z, the youngest generation. There are a few key points that I can compare and reflect. Like one is back our time in 1988. The country was closed. There were no IT. There were no information technology, no social media. We didn't even have phones to call each other. However, now, because of the technology, this Generation Z and those are civil servants, they have this social media platform that they are able to communicate among themselves and across the world. I think that's a huge difference that like in our time, even with the ruthless crackdown and killing on the street, nobody actually nobody saw. But I think what I'm really worried is compared to our time, this Myanmar military is they cannot only, ruthless on the streets, which they did to us back in 1988. But now they have also the information and this IT, cyber security, cyber power. And I think that cyber power has been given to this military for the last 10 years, at least by many of these Western and European governments, countries, companies. There are arms sales to this military junta. Like the dual use goods being sold to them so that they have this high level technology to put the mass surveillance on the people. So when they raid the people at night, when they chase down on the people and protesters, they had much more power than they had back 30 years ago.
Thanks so much. That's human rights activist Kin Omar with the latest on the situation in Myanmar.